She absolutely showed up. I know where you live, ATL. I'll come eat another steak. I just need to find the right buttons is the issue. What are the humans doing?
Do you think you're ready? Can you handle the truth? Or are you in denial and demanding more proof? They demonstrate in real time how they're spinning you lies, but no one pays attention, no one opens their eyes. They walk around like zombies with their head in the mobiles, signaling their virtues with a pic on their profile. Yeah. Signaling their virtues with a pic on their profile. So if you think you're ready and you don't need more proof, conspiracy deniers are denying the truth. They fabricate our problems and pretend to provide the best solution, but we all know they lie. They lied about the weapons and they lied about health. They lied about the fact that they're transferring the wealth. You should really notice how they're pushing the fear. Keep everybody terrified and not thinking clear. Yeah. Everybody's not thinking clear. Keep everybody terrified. Yeah, thinking nothing. Keep everybody terrified and not thinking clear. When you do, you realize that this is a trick. It's getting really stupid now, they're taking the mic. Said, do you think you're ready? Can you handle the truth? Or are you in denial and demanding more proof? They demonstrate in real time how they're spinning you lies, but no one pays attention, no one opens their eyes. They walk around like zombies with their head in the mobiles, signaling their virtues with a pic on their profile. Yeah. Signaling their virtues on their profile. Hey.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sasquatch Shills at midnight 30. And that's the way it goes when there's East and West Coast involved. So we're just going to roll it right on out here. We have the lovely VP backstage, and I am going to pop her right out. How you doing?
Hello.
All right. So first question. What is VP for?
Oh, VP. Okay, so vegan patriot, obviously.
Right.
It's kind of like a long story, but like, I don't know if you know what happened last year, but a couple of videos came out and it was just a hot mess for me. So I kind of played with my name. I made myself like Vagine Patriothought, Vegetable Patricia. I was just basically messing with the acronym of my name. And then I just was like, you know what? I like VP. And I was just like, if people want to find me, they're not going to find me super easily. I kind of wanted some like privacy, I guess. And I just stuck with VP.
Well, YouTube is a very strange place to go for privacy. All right, we're going to pop this right on up here. This is for the whole intro bit that you saw. That's the whole purpose of that. And then I have to fix everything in the proper format. It goes there. All right, now everything's broken. Fantastic. Here we go. All right, so I've got a few bits that I do, right? First bit, I use bits and pieces of previous guest content where applicable to maintain the consistency of the show, right?
Okay.
This is Captain Curmudgeon. I don't always agree with what he has to say, but it always tickles me to hear him say it. There's about a
Okay.
3-4 minute video bit here that we're going to do. He does the intro monologues to my show. How do you like them apples? He uploads them to his channel, does the whole bit. You'll see. This one's actually a little bit different. He did something special today, folks. I really like this bit.
Yep, they're dead. After 3.5 days of wild-eyed speculation and some of the stupidest expert analysis we have ever heard anywhere on anything, they found the debris field from the missing submarine today, and by all appearances, Shazam, Shazam! It looks like the vehicle suffered a catastrophic loss of hull integrity and thus imploded, instantly killing the 5 people on board. Moral of the story? Well, there's 2 morals to the story, really. The first moral is Occam's razor always wins. When you're trying to explain an unexplained phenomenon and there's a screamingly obvious answer that comports with all of the known facts, that obvious answer is going to be correct well over 99% of the time. And the second moral is, despite 85 years of technological advances, despite the existence of real-time, global, worldwide communication, the news business is in no better shape today than it was on the day Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan went missing in July of 1937. In fact, it might be in demonstrably worse shape. But don't try telling that to the fake news performance artist community. What? Everybody else gets to be a community, so why the hell not them? They are united by their common inability to distinguish their asses from a hole in the ground. And look, I'm not even saying that the wild-eyed speculation and idiotic expert analysis was totally improper, but the way they did it was very much totally improper. They wanted a race against the clock, so they invented one. They wanted to make an exciting entertainment product, so they did. But nothing about this was news. Be under no illusions about that. Could they have accomplished the thing they wanted to and still abide?
All right, here's my concern with that whole submarine thing. It was submersible. Sorry, it wasn't quite a submarine. Apparently, a submarine is larger than what these multi-billionaires were going to the Titanic in. I think I might have held out for a submarine if I was that loaded, but that's just me. I like safety. Maybe mute by here one day. It'll be all right. I'll wait. But here's my point. When you have an explosive decompression or an at depth implosion, the water comes through the space so fast that it compresses the oxygen like inside a diesel engine. It's actually the compressed oxygen detonating that causes the sub to crack. It's not the pressure of the water. Wherever it cracked to start with, it would open just enough for the pressure to balance, and it would balance in 0.3 of a millisecond, so fast that the thoughts would be left standing there and not you. And as far as finding bodies, that's exceptionally unlikely because they're pretty much smeared all over the inside of that can. So they might be able to bring up pieces of the sub, but it's not going to be very fulfilling. And it would be, and I hate to say this, it would be a total waste of money and time. These people went down there. They signed releases saying they wanted to go down there, and that was their decision. And they trusted this individual to do it. And now we're in this case. We don't go get people who die on the way to Everest. Why would we go get people who die on the way to the Titanic? Just my opinion, and it might be unpopular, but it seems logical to me.
Word.
Wow.
All
right, so girls just want to have podcasts. The way this generally rolls is I'm going to stick this in the background. We're going to pop at some point in time through the middle of it and let it play for a few minutes while we discuss your general content. So I'm curious, right? Yeah, it's kind of a flashback, right?
Yeah, I love this video, actually. Yeah, this is a good one.
I pick out 3 videos. One is your most viewed video. One is your generally your most recent upload, and then your earliest available upload. earliest publicly available.
So like my first one that's available that's not
That's
private.
available
Yeah.
publicly. I
Okay.
don't go digging through other people's channels and trying to find your first sighting on YouTube or nothing like that. It's nothing weird.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of clips that have been taken down too. So like
Sure.
you would be missing a ton of the story. It's
Mhm.
weird. Like the few that are left up, it's like
Yeah,
they're
no,
very
it's obvious.
inconclusive.
It's obvious. There is so much more to this story. I compared it to a telenovela because I feel like I'm missing whole vast seasons of episodes. And I'm like, I was like, I was totally sitting in here the other day eating popcorn with like a audiobook in one ear and one of your old podcasts running. And I was sitting there eating popcorn and my wife walked in. She looked at me. She's like, what? I said, I think they're fixing to break up.
Oh, shit.
What are you watching? I was like, something for the channel. You wouldn't understand.
No,
Oh,
it's been
Right.
like a soap opera. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty crazy because like I didn't want to be like public on stream, and then it just became my life.
right. Well, that's part of the description is the fact that it went from being something you did occasionally, because in some of your earlier available podcasts that are streams that are available, you talk about how you didn't used to always do this crap, right? Like it wasn't.
Right.
You take a very energetic approach to content. You don't do the I'm going to do an episode or I'm going to go find a video to none of that trash. You're going to go out there and you're going to find out what's happening right now, what's going on, why we're doing it, who's doing it, and who I'm going to do it to. I love it. Frankly, I mean, it's very bracing. It's a little blunt, and it's more real than anything else you could find on TV, you know.
Sure.
Popcorn. What's happening next? I can't help it.
Dude, the most recent drama has been like, I can totally see that. I would say like earlier on though, I feel like I was more boring, but after the situation with my current boyfriend, like it has been like a soap opera. And if you bring in like Chicken Andy and Baked Alaska, there's, you know, there is, you're right. There's like loops.
It's
There's
very
holes in the
interesting.
story.
Because I actually took a minute over here because I have no idea about any of it until I actually sat down and was like, wait a second. I recognize that guy. I can't remember his name, but I saw him in a video over here. And I had to go like cross-reference to figure out where I had seen this. And it was Baked Alaska. And I just recognized him, but I couldn't pinpoint where I'd seen him. And I was like, I recognize that guy. And it took me like a day and a half to be like, oh, wait, no, I know who that is. You know, but
Who was
that's
it?
kind of one of the things it was Baked Alaska.
I was
One
just
of the
gonna
things
say,
I
Baked
do is
Alaska.
like YouTube lore is sort of an aspect of all this by going out and interviewing YouTubers when they're not at 500,000 subscribers. You know, most people want to go after the clout. They want to go look
Right.
for the big channels. I don't got nothing against big channels. I just feel like I'm being realistic.
Yeah.
Like 5K, maybe 10, possibly, you know, anything after that, it gets real difficult to contact a creator because they're suddenly dealing with thousands of people
Yup.
that they're constantly coming out.
Yup.
And it's kind of hard to cut through that level of fog by going, by the way, I'm some imaginary creature on YouTube. How'd you like to have a chat? Don't fly well, man.
No, and two, I think it's like pretty important. Like I always considered myself a side character, you know, especially with Baked Alaska. And then of course, like the Chicken Andy stuff happened and like I became a main character, at least for IP2. So it is pretty interesting. You know, I think it's pretty cool that you're shedding light on like a more full picture instead of just like who's like it right now, you know, who's making the headlines, you know.
I don't see any reason at all in specifying any particular angle. I'm not involved. I don't know enough to pass any kind of judgment on anybody anywhere. And somebody was like, hey, check this channel out. maybe she'll do an interview. And I was like, okay. And like I said, like at first, I just kind of put it over in the corner of the screen and let it play, and was over here doing editing and YouTubery stuff and calling other people and whatnot. And it migrated from the corner of the screen over to my actual laptop where my chat usually is. I was sitting there, I was doing nothing, I was sitting there staring at it. I'm like, I really wish I knew what the hell was going on. I feel like I'm so much. I just,
Honestly, like
I appreciate
privated
ACL
so
turning
many
me onto it,
videos.
because it is interesting. It's certainly
Yeah.
riveting.
Well, I privated so many videos, and then like I left up the ones of me crying, and like that was probably like, I don't know if you're referring to that one, but like I feel like that was like, if I wasn't scripting that, I would think I was acting, because it was just so intense and so dramatic. And it was like, if anybody stepped in and walked in on that video, they'd be like, I can see that.
Well, I mean, some of it is just so bizarre. Some things are just so bizarre. And some of the conversations seem disjointed because obviously I'm just wandering in the middle of something that's been going on for quite some time. And while people seem to be unhappy with each other, they're not exactly foaming at the mouth and attacking yet. It does seem like that might be in the air somewhere, but I don't know, because I don't know enough about the situation to make a decision.
Sure. You just
So, I mean,
seen it
you
come
don't
to a
have
head
to.
and explosion. You haven't seen the steps leading up to it.
I caught, like I said, I watched one part of the tail end of one stream before you'd had your most recent hiatus, and then all of the very last one. But for most of that, I was in a very loud Waffle House trying to order, and they gave me the order away twice. And so I had to stop everything and be like, no, you crazy crackers. I want my food. Stop giving it to other people. It's mine. You can't have it.
Word.
But yeah, it gets hectic sometimes. Snart.
Well, I'm glad I'm interesting enough that I captured your attention longer than a few seconds.
I mean, I hate to say this. I don't mean to be an asshole. I'm kind of easy to please when it comes to YouTubery. I largely am looking for people who are doing the thing, right? Whether you're uploading shorts, videos, live streams, however you want to do it. Got one dude who does live streams to upload his videos. However you want to do it, man. Do your thing, make your content, and share it with us. That's all I ask. If you have anything, and I mean this for anybody out there, there's anything that you do that you think is unusual, or maybe you do it better or in a different way from somebody else, film it, upload it. You never know. You never know what goes viral. You never know.
Well, that's the mind of a content creator, which I don't consider myself. I'm just somebody who's showing people my life.
You're a lifestyle vlogger.
Yeah, right, a vlogger or whatever you call it, a vlogger.
I'm talking straight out of the ancient days of YouTubery, lifestyle vlogger. There are very few of those that are actually still around and still doing that. I'm impressed, quite frankly.
Oh, thank you. I don't think it's that hard. See, a lot of my streamer friends are scripters, or they have an agenda when they go out to stream, and like I'll have like themes or whatever, but I'm pretty much just like, here, this is me, this is what I'm doing, like come hang out,
right? And that's, to me, that's really the best way to be. Even once a channel gets monetized, I don't advise you to immediately go into the monetization, because depending on how an individual starts their channel, that may completely cripple their ability to make content.
Facts.
Like, my content is largely reliant on my guests' content.
Sure.
Right. So every single one of these shows is merely waiting to tick off a guest enough for them to report me for a re-upload because of the video that's up. That's why I mute them, right? You never know what someone else is going to put up. I also offer my show to my guests to be streaming while I'm making it, and to previous guests to restream it usually. I didn't do it this time because I know there's some weirdness over there associated with your channel. I'm not exactly sure how deeply it runs. I don't know. So rather than spreading it around in a weird ghetto syndication. I I just kind of skipped it this week because my guest didn't show up last week, and it left my ego bruised. So
Oh, that's
it's
annoying.
sat in my
That's such a waste
corner.
of time.
Oh no, I always set up 2 shows every time so that if a guest doesn't show up, we can go straight into the after dark, and it works. Which, by the way, tonight our after dark is oh, it's really interesting. I vaguely remember now. Where's my freaking show clips? All right, I've got a full analysis of this particular submarine disaster. I have 5 extraordinary prehistoric moments locked in time forever by way of fossils that have been discovered recently, and the unfortunate truth about hydrogen V8 engines, and the terrifying truth about chimpanzees, why you don't want one as a pet. They will eat your face. Spoiler alert. If you don't believe me, go check out Travis the chimp.
Oh my gosh. For real?
Travis the chimp. They were, I have a theory on Travis. Travis murdered a woman pretty much. He shredded that lady. It was his keeper. And immediately before all of this happened, the vet that she had been operating through had been prescribing loads of Xanax and Valiums for Travis because he was kind of getting out of hand. He had gotten too strong to really manage, and so they were kind of keeping him doped up. The vet that she had been using changed businesses and was no longer writing her the scripts for the Valiums and Xanaxes. And can you imagine a chimp going through withdrawals? When I went through withdrawals, it almost killed me. It almost killed me. I had seizures. It was the whole 9 yard. Benzos are no joke.
Yeah, poor chimp is right, Mr. Pickles.
Yeah, poor chimp. I mean, no doubt. I mean, I'm not saying the chimp was done right. I'm saying that a lot of people put the blame on the chimp in the wrong way. It wasn't so much the chimp that was having these problems as it was the handler's methods of keeping the chimp calm.
Yeah, for sure.
Rather than trying to mitigate the things that stressed out the chimp, they just doped him up. Just doped him up like a nutty patient. I hate those jackets to make you love yourself. Not a fan. So, where would you take your channel given the opportunity? If you woke up tomorrow and your last video you uploaded had 10 million views and you were the biggest thing since sliced bread, would you brand out in a standard YouTube fashion? What would you do?
Well, honestly, because I don't know if you know too much about the situation, but with my current boyfriend, he basically got me kicked out of my house. So I'm in the middle of moving and getting all that fun stuff done. We actually made a huge rule for any roommates, and we're not going to have a bunch of streamers over like I did at this place. No live streams in the house. Because there's callers, and if you get doxxed, which is what happened with me, you never know. Now, for me, my landlord really liked me. He didn't want to do what he did. It was just too many police reports to the house, and he was really good. He put in a really good word for me with the next landlords. I actually ended up going through 2 apartments before coming onto this one. But who knows if callers called in too, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm not doing any live streams in the house. If I do any live streams at all, and neither is my boyfriend, if I do any live streams at all, they're going to be maybe just the collabs that I normally would do with my friends. But before, I was like, yeah, man, if you're in town, you can come hang out with me. We can go stream. You see LD in this video playing right now. He ended up staying with me for 3 or 4 months. And that was fine. But he actually, it's not his fault, but Ski Mask Andy basically doxed me in the sake of getting LD out of my house. And then this stuff happened with Incel, and he put all this attention onto me, and my dox was out there. So it leaves you vulnerable to, my parents don't own a house. I'm not living in my parents' house. I work hard. I pay for my bills. I have an apartment, I have a landlord, so
Yes.
I can't really fuck around with that shit. Excuse my French, but
I would suggest, no, go hard on it. I don't give two
no.
fiddly fucks. It's up to you.
No, I'm very
Seems like
protective
now
of what
it's
I've
like
earned
that.
and what I work for, and the house is off limits at this point. So
I have a
I'm
tiny bit of advice on the streaming point, and this is something I've observed by being a troll for years. I retired from that life. I no longer do that stuff, and just don't tempt me. That's all I'm saying. I've tried real hard to stay on my straight and narrow, and there's some people out there testing me, but I'm letting it go because I'm a better man than all that now. I don't do drugs and I don't troll no more. We're good.
no
But
drugs.
I can't do it. Not
Oh my
one more day.
gosh.
I had to not do. I had to undo that thing. I treat it like the Paul Bunyan story, right? The way I quit drugs is I stopped doing drugs. The
Like cold
reason I
turkey?
became addicted, oh yeah. The
Yeah.
reason I became addicted was a lack of self-control to start with. So I could not taper myself off because I had a lack of self-control when involved with drugs. So I woke up when my hip fell back into place the way it was supposed to, and suddenly I wasn't in screaming pain every single day. I looked over at my wife and said, "You know what? I really don't want to take these anymore." And she thought I was joking. A week
No,
later, she knew I wasn't.
no, I totally relate to that. I don't have like any addiction problems, so like I've never really understood the struggle. But when I'm done with something, like I cold turkey it and I just walk away from it, So I actually relate to that a lot.
That's exactly how it's done. Paul Bunyan had a story about how he competed against all the other loggers and always won. So they decided to come up with a competition of doing nothing, and he made it 5 minutes. He could do anything but nothing. And that's what quitting drugs is like, is learning to do nothing.
Yeah.
Because anything you attempt to do, your drug-addled, addicted brain will turn it into a mechanism by which to get drugs. It is insane how effective and clever addiction is. It's wild.
Right.
I'm going to go get some milk from the store. How in the world did that happen? It's like I just went to the store. I did.
Right.
How? No. Why am I in jail? No. We're not doing this anymore. I'm not doing it. And that's the only way I ever could quit anything, was just to stop doing it. So,
Oh, dude, Funny IRL is in the chat.
Yeah,
Do you know who that is?
Not really.
Funny IRL is an awesome clipper.
Cool. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. He's in the chat.
I have a very eclectic fan base that's kind of hard to explain. They've been derived through the 200 and however many guests I've had. I pick up maybe 1 or 2 or 3 from each guest, and I don't generally get the ones that are assholes. Generally, it's the people who are like, "I really appreciate you having so and so on. That was really cool," and they show up. Sometimes they end up as mods.
Oh, that's great. But you're not part of the IP2 community, which is probably why. IP2 has so many haters and so many misogynists. It's like, if you get into my chat, that's pretty much half of my chat is just shit talkers.
I sat and watched your chat, and I commented a few times, but it seemed to be overwhelmingly negative, and I generally don't surround myself with negative people. And when things tend to go negative, I just tune it out. I don't accept those. Pardon the really, really hippy dippy approach, but I don't accept those vibrations into my space. I just don't do that.
I'm a free speech girl. So like,
me too.
I'm into the, like, you can voice your opinion thing. I would say with my chat, the sad part is there's so many hardcore trolls that the people that are nice don't feel comfortable exposing who they are and making a lot of comments because they're afraid of the trolls. So I actually have a lot of really amazing viewers. And even like when I was crying about my boyfriend, like, I actually had an overwhelming amount of support, which very much surprised me because I had hundreds of people viewing that stream. Right. I thought I was going to get a lot more hate for that one, but it seemed like I touched people's emotional side or something because
the realness. When things get scripted or too planned out, people can tell, even if they don't consciously realize that this doesn't quite smack true. There's something not quite straight about it or whatever. It's like going to a cheap Italian restaurant. You know it the very second you taste the sauce.
Yep.
If it's not in the
Yeah.
sauce, you're going to miss the mark. And people may go back and watch it because there's something off about it, but that doesn't necessarily make it good, right?
Right. For sure. For sure. Well, honestly, like my boyfriend and I have totally different content, and he's been getting a lot of flack for pretty much scripting. He wasn't scripting being homeless, but he does keep coming back to me, which is what his viewers hate. So they pretty much abandoned him and they've stopped donating to him because they're like, oh, he's a complete scripter. It's not true, but he does kind of go with what he thinks chat's going to want him to do too a lot of the time. Whereas I'm, like you said, I kind of just, this is me, this is what's up. Like, you know, so we have completely different styles of streaming.
Yes. I poked around in a few of the folks from over there, searched out a few names here and there, but it's such a wild ride to do stuff like that. And you can do it in any chat. And you'll find people crocheting, you'll find people with aquariums, folks with a turtle, and that's all that's on their channel is their turtle. That's it. They upload every day something about a turtle.
Or their dog or something. Yeah, totally.
Or a lizard or yeah.
I love accounts like that though. Especially people, like, I think a lot of people too, they're shy like I used to be, where it's like they don't want to be too exposed, so they do post kind of randomness. You know, it's like to say, hey, I'm here, but not necessarily like, hey, look at me. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, YouTuber, all right, being a YouTuber at all, deciding one day that, hey, I'm going to take part of my life and place it on screen. I'm going to share it with the entire world. I analogize it to this. I feel like I'm worthy of being stalked, and I might as well make it as easy as possible for anybody who chooses to do so. So here's what I went about doing. I created a specific space in which I stream. I don't do it anywhere else under any other circumstances, which is why I bought a truck and I'm putting together a mobile stream rig so that I will have my own space to stream in.
Yeah.
On the road. Because that is one of the worst things, having a guest on, they go to walk through somewhere, they pick up their phone and step off into the bedroom and see their sex dungeon in the background. And suddenly you're like, well, this one's coming down.
Word, dude. No, honestly, like you don't even know what my setup looks like right now, but like we're in the middle of moving. So like 90% of my shit's packed. I have this like super ghetto, like broken ring light, and it's like tied to my selfie stick that's also broken. And I'm just sitting here like, I hope this is sufficient. Like, you know, this is the cleanest you're going to see like a backdrop right now for me. Like, I don't like, yeah.
All right. Members Mad World, take notes. This is how you do it. You're doing just fine, honey. You'll be just fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just take notes. This is what it takes. Dedication, the amount of dedication it takes to make the content happen. And whether it's a vlog or you're filming washing cars, it doesn't matter. It's the daily uploads, the constant attention to the channel, constantly paying attention to the details. That's what eventually gets you through the hump, you know? Yeah,
for sure. For sure. And some people, they have all their like crazy setups. I've never, ever been like a big setup kind of a girl. I've always, well, when I started streaming, I was a political streamer. So I got used to like, especially for the riots and stuff, I had the phone in my hand. So basically when I started like openly streaming instead of just sending in stuff to like news channels, I was pretty much like, well, I'm not getting a selfie stick. Like, I don't need a selfie stick. And like,
right.
Chicken would get so mad about it, but I'm like,
do without a selfie stick. Like, I'd like to do some flybys on my truck. I can't do it. I ain't got a selfie stick.
right. Or like a drone or anything like that. Yeah. Come here, Bubba. Come here. Hi.
All right. So you've got a whole clique of folks that kind of roll with you in general. That's cool. I kind of dig your community in general because the people aren't blocked, I think maybe. You know, because most people, when they start catching a little smoke from chat, they'll just go whole hog, start blocking anybody with a negative opinion. Not a fan. I am a free speech advocate.
Right.
YouTube is not a free speech platform. I will
No.
permit anything to be said in chat, provided it does not risk my channel. You start trying to smoke my channel, and you will be boosted out of here so fast it'll make your head spin.
Right.
And it won't be me that did it. It'll be one of the mods.
Right. Yeah,
Although,
no, I kind of have a rule. There's a couple of things that I'm like, no doxing ever. Mods always have permission to ban. And I say ban, do not like time out, like ban a doxer. You know, that's the big fat no-no for me. And then
I prefer for there to be a timeout on the first round, because in the event that there's a private joke nobody else knows, and maybe it was a little, like, maybe I personally know that guy and it was a little too spicy, I'll tell him it's a little too spicy.
for sure.
It'll probably work because I know him and I know where he lives.
For sure.
You know, I'm perfectly willing to call up his mom and be like, hey, you know, he's being too spicy on my YouTube channel, and she'll fix it.
Yo, I mean, but that's like an understanding. The number one thing I don't allow is the doxing is such a big no-no for me. It's like, you don't get second chances. You know what you're doing when you do that. Like, there's no question about that one to me.
Right.
No.
I don't even let guests dox themselves, even when they want to. Even like, and believe it or not, there are a lot of people who started their YouTube channel with their actual freaking name. And I'm like, no, don't just change your name, because it's still there. You just don't see it. Right. You have to nix that channel, start a new channel with the new name, and do some searches beforehand. Make sure nobody else is using it.
Connected anything.
Comes up as Kamala Harris. If you're trying to run shallow, run deep, run silent, and run deep, you're doing an amazing job of it. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. It took
years before people started to know my real name, and the only reason they knew my real name is because I believe it was after Ski Mask doxed me, but like it took years before everybody knew my real name, and now they do, because especially with like the jail thing and everything, like that got spread around, the attention was put there. But I mean, I think even after I maced my friend, even after all those videos came out like 2 years ago or whatever, like nobody knew my real name, you know? And I think that I would have had like hate mail. I would have had like bad snipers come to my house, and I'm so grateful I wasn't like doxed back then. You know, I mean, the outrage was so big. It was like, dude, I'm so glad nobody knew my information then.
You know what my advice for that is? Let your haters be your motivators. If you're catching flack, it's because you're over the target. If they're getting handsy over there, it's because you're getting close to the reality of the situation. No matter how much smoke they throw over the field, just keep dropping them. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
They'll either get over it or die over it. And I don't give a diddly damn which one they do.
Right. Well, I said that too. I was like, dude, like, I'm not gonna, like, I wanted to stop streaming when the videos came out, but I was like, no, like, there's too many haters, and I'm just gonna like keep streaming. I don't care if it's good. I'm just gonna be around to like bother them, you know? Like, that was like basically my plan was like, I'm not going anywhere because you told me to go somewhere, and I don't want to be told what to do. So here I am. So I just kept streaming.
All right. So you've stepped away from streaming a couple of times, right?
Yeah, a few times, but like this is the most concrete this time. Like, and I have more lines established. Before it was more like, oh, you know, I started streaming really because of Chicken, and then me and Chicken weren't together, and I was like, okay, there's no point. And then it was like me and Incel, like he loves to stream, and I wanted to kind of do that with him a little bit, and then it just got so intense and crazy, and it was just like, there's no, I don't want this. Like, this is too much.
I got my videos out of order. I don't know how to do it. It doesn't update proper sometimes. All right. So sometimes IP2 isn't wrong. Is that
my God,
almost your earliest upload? I think there's one before that.
It might be
but
actually
the one before,
the
it was
earliest
really weird. I wasn't
earliest.
sure what it was, so I didn't want to use it because I have no idea what the hell that is.
That was a really fun one. I was before I had my chat phone, so I got this CD player, and I like played a bunch of like my punk bands, and like I just chilled and hung out with like, I trimmed my dog's toenails because IB2 was like, oh, their toenails are too long, and I'm like, okay, IP2, like this is before I realized how vicious IP2 was, but I was like, okay, IP2's not wrong. Like I'm
Which
gonna be
one is
like,
earlier is my question. Is it trial error or sometimes IP2 isn't wrong?
Trial Error is the newest one.
Okay, that's your most recent.
Yeah.
So girls just want to have podcasts. Is that the earliest live available?
No. The sometimes IP2 isn't wrong. It's probably that one, or there's one with like
Right. Okay. The only reason I ask is I have a bit that I do before I show any of these, right? And we're going to go into that right now. And the whole bit has to do with digging up the oldest something somebody has available because I'm a YouTube paleontologist.
You know about cars? Yes, I'm a paleontologist.
Oh, it's okay. There's dynamite in this bag too. I am a paleontologist.
I'm a paleontologist.
Paleontologists study really old stuff.
Like crackers.
Because bad movies are funny.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Some bad movies are absolutely excellent. On that note, I'm begging various YouTubers to get involved in my filming of Meth Gator. I've got this whole plot worked out, right? Yes, Meth Gator. He's going to attack a meth lab in Florida, right? And then go on a crazy tear. And then the whole movie is going to be around these tourists that go to Florida and run into this crazy Crocodile Dundee type individual that I really hope Bigfoot Anon is willing to do. and there's going to be this mad dash through the Everglades to get away from the big stupid CGI gator that's going to look just as vicious as you could possibly imagine. And we might get one of those little chameleons and dress him up. I haven't decided how to do that part yet. But the whole joke is at the end of it, you're going to find all the victims of the gator sitting around having a barbecue. And the guy that the gator just killed is going to climb out of the water and be like, nah, man, meth heads don't have teeth. Why would meth gators have teeth? But you had a great adventure, right? They serve up some steak and ribs and beer. We're going to have a big old party. It'd be great.
Oh my God.
We'll film the whole thing in like 3 days. It'll be absolutely horrible.
No, I used to get really bad horror movies. Like I used to literally go to the movie store and pick out like the worst B movies you could find. So I totally relate with that.
Oh,
there was like a Jack Frost one where they were like little cotton balls and they were literally like, they had drawings on their little cotton balls.
Oh, honey, I worked at a movie store from like 1994 all the way through to 2009 or so. Until they shut them all down, there was no more movie stores in town for me to work at.
No. And I'm from Ohio and there's still one movie store left that's like in the area, but pretty much all of them are gone now. It really sucks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most kids nowadays have no clue what it was like to like get permission to go down to the video store and pick out whatever you wanted.
Right.
I got a job at the movie store just to have that ability every single day. The money, that was extra.
Word. Well, you remember the like veiled areas with all the porn in the back? Like there was always a special area for the porn that I was always like, why can't I go in there? And my dad'd be like, nope, you go this way.
Yeah. One of the weirdest things working at a movie store that was repetitive and happened more often than you would think. Anytime certain movies were rented, we had to watch them because people like to cut porn into The Little Mermaid and Snow White and a handful of other movies specifically. Mr. Mom, for some strange reason, people would put gay porn into Mr. Mom. It was the weirdest thing. Every single time that tape was rented, we had to sit down and go through it to make sure that it hadn't been clipped again.
Oh, because it was on tape. It was on VHS, right?
Yeah. On VHS. Yeah. So we could like physically edit these things. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Right. And this is where I developed my ability to watch 4 things at the same time. I could run a cashier, sign in new movies, watch 3 TVs simultaneously. And if anything weird happened on any of the screens, I would subconsciously catch it, walk over and back it up and see what it was. And it don't matter if it was that long. Somehow I was able to keep enough of that stuff going in my head that it would just glitch a second. I would go over, back it up, and make sure it was an edit and not something
else. Yeah.
Not a John Holmes cameo.
I literally, like, my first, well, I've never watched a full porn in full because I hate porn. But like I was like 13 and I did this video and
Traumatized.
we had recycled like VHS tapes or something in school. And somebody must have donated one that had porn on it because I'm watching this music video I made for class with my little sister. All of a sudden, there's just this big black dick and there's this white dick. And I was like covering my sister's eyes, like, that's not part of the video. Like, I'll never forget that. Yeah.
That's glorious. Don't worry about it. I once had a transgender comedian tell a joke on my show about how she became enamored by the chair leg and decided and explained all that she decided to do with it. And that was part of her stand-up routine. So I let it play. A big black dick isn't the strangest thing that has occurred on my channel. We've got some breadth in here, let me tell you. Like, one quote that's been dropped is they don't call me Girth Brooks for nothing. That's car thief news for you. Love that, man. He's in jail right now. So if anybody wants to go put some money on his books, I'd appreciate it personally. I'd take it as a personal favor. I don't have that link handy. Probably should. Let's see. We're at 45 minutes. Okay. How long have you been streaming in general?
Okay.
Anything.
So I started politically streaming in 2019. I actually, do you know like Breitbart and like those news? Okay. So I befriended one of the like main guys at Breitbart, and I was in a gun group with Ann Coulter's niece as well. And then when the riot started going on, it was like, you know, I live in Scottsdale where that big riot happened. So I was just around for content basically. And so I just pretty much followed it wherever I went. I had people paying for me to go to other places. I went to DC a couple of times. I went to some Ohio ones. I went but there was a ton of Arizona stuff that I covered. And, you know, like I live here, so I took it kind of personally. And that was around 2019, 2020. And then 2021, I connected with Chicken. Or sorry, no, Baked Alaska. He was mostly 2020 and 21. And I watched his cats. And I took care of his house. And that fat fuck is a piece of shit, by the way. But I had his back throughout all the federal agents, you know, chasing him down.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm not interested in getting into all of that right now, but I would really love to have that conversation backstage after I start drinking. Because I got some questions. I'm not going to lie. I have curiosities and I won't send it nowhere. Nobody will ever know. I'm just so curious.
There's a lot. And like, I protected him and Chicken because I thought they were my friends. But then like, as soon as Chicken didn't get what he wanted and Baked Alaska didn't get what he wanted, not get what he wanted, but he just kind of just turned on me, and I have no loyalty to either of them at this point. So I do have a lot to say, but I'm still keeping it classy. You know?
I'm sorry. Previous guest wandered in, and I missed her. Criminalized for being family. She's over here having a knockdown drag out between judges, cops, nursing home, her mom, and her grandmother that are. It's a pardon the expression. It is a clusterfuck, and they're all against her and her grandmother, as far as I can tell. It just looks nasty. ATL is dealing with his own issues in Atlanta. He's been to every single organization in Atlanta that might have something to do with the police to try to get a particular investigation open. And not only will they not take the complaints to start with, they can't figure out who should take the complaints because it involves a school. So, I mean, between the GBI, the FBI, the Cobb County Police, the Sheriff's Department, nobody can figure out who actually is in command of the school police.
Wow.
That's absurd
disgusting.
to me. He's got video of all of it.
That's disgusting. It is disgusting.
Absolutely disgusting. And I live in Georgia, and that bothers me a little bit. You know, I'm familiar with the good old boy crew that runs around in Georgia. I know how that shit works. I might have been born into some of that, but I don't have to approve of it.
For sure.
I mean, that's straight nepotism. And he's in one of those situations where all of the cops are married to teachers, and all of the firemen are married to teachers, and all the teachers are married to cops and firemen, and so they don't even exist inside the same society the rest of the world exists in.
For sure.
They just have barbecues with each other on the weekends. So they're all blue line gang all the way, all day. Me, I prefer accountability, transparency, and the ability to hold individuals who breach my rights accountable. That's it. Good cop, bad cop. If you're a good cop on a force that has bad cops on it, you should do something to eliminate those bad cops, because if you don't, you are a bad cop.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and then you have the cops that are just kind of lazy, and it's like, oh, well, this is the law. This is what we're here to do. And that's just as bad. Like the ones that don't think critically, and I don't know. I've had some experience with the police lately, and I totally, I've got my opinions on
this. No one who has had experience with the police wanted experience with the police. Not once.
Word.
These people are dealing with individuals on their worst possible day under the worst possible circumstances. And I recognize that is a difficult job. But if you want to be safe, go flip fucking burgers. You sign up to protect and serve the Constitution of the United States. Do that. Do the thing. You will get commendations galore from me, and everyone else will sing your accolades for simply being a good cop. That's it.
Word.
Do the thing that you signed up to do. That's all I ask of you.
Well, I was really impressed in 2020. You had a lot of law enforcement coming out and saying we're not going to enforce this because it's wrong. And I had a lot of respect for those cops.
I had a whole series of shows.
Something a lot of them got let go, and that's I think what a lot of police officers are worried about.
I started my channel right after lockdown. I shut down all my troll accounts, and I stopped burning out homeless and fake homeless and fake drug accounts and stuff. I stopped killing them. And I started a legitimate channel with a legitimate purpose and a legitimate point. And I wanted to have conversations with creators online, people who are trying to do the thing. And I had no idea what I was doing. I quite literally saw someone's OBS and went, wait, I've seen that program before. I know what that is. And it took me a little while to put it together, but once I did, I never intended to make a face reveal. I was going to read Westerns. That was my plan. You hear this voice? This is for reading Westerns, isn't
That's a good Western voice. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, I could do that. But I got the wrong mic to start with, and I couldn't do that. So I ended up doing live streams, and it turns out I had a little bit of a knack on asking the right questions at the right time without pissing people off. That's really the trick. YouTubers are like herding cats.
Well, and we're suspicious too, because you have to think we have people that aren't really interested in our best interest, but they're curious to make a clip or have something that they can claim they got the first information for. They don't care about us. I mean, Funny IRL, I love Funny IRL. He supports a lot of newer streamers, which is really cool. And his clips are great. But then you have the clippers that they're just there to they have a total bias. And it's that's not the point. If you're a clipper, you're supposed to be relaying a bit of information, but you're not supposed to inject your bias into it.
I disagree entirely.
Where
let me explain. Yeah. When you're a clipper, most clippers, and I am a bit of a clipper myself. My original big videos that I did were shorts, and they were compilations of people hurting themselves, and they did very well, but it didn't seem to be the right feel. I didn't like doing it, right? Even though it performed well, I stopped doing that stuff. But when I first started clipping, I did have a particular narrative in mind that I wanted to promote. That all kind of went by the wayside by dint of the volume of live streaming I've been doing. You can't pretend in your head that hard without being mentally ill. It will warp your brain if you try to force a narrative into reality. You will eventually become insane. You cannot help it. So I say that I don't have to participate in others' delusions. I just don't have to. Y'all, whoever
No.
wants to go be deluded by themselves is welcome to go do that. I will sit over here and laugh at them on the internet with everyone
Word.
else. We can have a nice conversation about those delusions if you'd like. I don't have an issue with that. If you're interviewing a Bigfoot hunter, never ask them what to do if you find a pixie. They get upset. They think you're trolling them. But I'm just serious. When you're out there looking for something that may not exist and you find something else that should not exist, do you call the same people or is that a different group? I'm just curious. Found a gnome.
You mean like with clips and stuff?
Well, I've actually interviewed a legitimate Bigfoot hunter. And I asked him, if you're out there looking for Bigfoot and you find a pixie, do you call the same people that you would if you found Bigfoot, or do you call different people? Is there like an organization? Okay. Do we call the feds? Who do we call? I'm so confused by the idea of hunting Bigfoot or the people hunting Pixies for that matter. You know what you've done?
What?
You made an entire show.
Did I?
Absolutely. The show's typically 57 minutes. That's the approach. Basically the point is to give people who aren't used to seeing your type of content the ability to see it, see how it kind of works, the way it functions. Lifestyle bloggers, they're fairly common, but people with a level of telenovela type drama, that's uncommon. That's not usual. So I hope.
Well, I'll be honest. My boyfriend just ran off. So like there might be a drama scene tonight if I can't find him because he hears these voices and he likes to disappear. And it's very stressful. So there might be another one tonight. We'll see how it goes. But
our brother's a bit schizophrenic. And if he gets a hold to the old devil's dandruff, he goes all psychotic and starts hiding in people's farm equipment and stuff. And if you've never had Sasquatch show up at 4:00 in the morning and take a pistol from a naked man out of your combine without even a fight, just walk in and be like, hey, Skunk Ape, give me the gun. Thank you. And I'll go put it in the truck, come back and be like, get out of this man's combine, please. Okay.
Oh my God.
You do what you got to do when you have people like that. Now I'm in Georgia. So when we have difficulties, we give them a mint julep and a pistol and put them on a porch in the rocking chair. Let them greet people when they come in. It certainly keeps the solicitors down, let me tell you.
For sure. I bet.
For sure. All right. So I'm going to bring you up. You give everybody a big old sign off. I'm going to do a little play out after I take you down, and we'll be back up for After Dark here in just a minute. That's where I take my glasses off and we're a little bit more open with the whole format and things. Okay. Now, you can stick around for After Dark if you want. You can cut and run if you want. I don't know. Sometimes I spook people. It's up to you. But,
no, you're not spooking me at all. The only thing is I do need to find my boyfriend at some point. So I'll probably have to dip out. But I really appreciate you having me on. I feel you definitely have a good approach. And I think that your mission is honorable.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, let me see. Where's my other button? See, every time I do this, it like does weird stuff to my screen up here, and I lose the actual screen where I see what's actually going on, and I have to do stuff to fix. There we go. All right. So I appreciate you coming in. And everything. I mean, it's rare to come across a live streamer that's been actively live streaming for what, 5 years, 4 years?
Yeah.
Off and on.
A lot of us get burnt out.
I mean, you see
the craziest. Yeah. You see they learn their lesson and they're like, okay, this was a terrible idea having my life exploited online, you know?
That's why I suggest you take a portion of your home, your apartment, whatever, a corner, somewhere where it's not loud, it's not bright, it's not affected by too much light, and you set up in that corner, and that is the appropriate streaming corner. Throw some green screens over there, make it obvious. If you're going to stream, do it here, this room. That way you can close the door and keep the rest of your life outside.
For sure. Well, and it's really cool because like the new apartment, it's twice as big as my place now. And, you know, we already kind of discussed that for my newer content. It's going to be pre-recorded, and we're each going to have our own corners. You know, my boyfriend's supposed to have his corner, my roommate's supposed to have his, and then I'm going to have my streaming corner. So I'm with that. I resonate with that entirely.
Fantastic. All right, I'm going to drop you backstage for about 3 minutes, do my little talk out, and we'll come back up here and do some more stuff here in a little bit. We'll get into the videos I brought in.
Awesome.
All right. I appreciate you coming in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of Sasquatch Shills. As you know, this is where we do a fake play out. We come back with a little bit more live streaming after this. We have a conversation about some current events topics, some ancient history, and some very ancient history. I love each and every one of you like a brother and a sister, but if you give me any trouble tonight, I'll run every single goddamn one of y'all off this mountain.
Sorry. Good news, though. We're going to have to move the party somewhere a little bit more private, but you're all invited. Lorenzo will give you the details. Yeah!
What are the humans doing?
Listening manners. Oh, holy fucking shit. I didn't see that coming. Probably because I had my back turned.